Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are so grateful that you are all here. This is a full-feeling sanctuary. Thank you all for choosing to spend your Erev Shabbat with us. I think spring is in the step of this community, senior clergy. I am noticing a vibrancy and a feel. There's a buzz in the air. We're so grateful that we get to mark this Erev Shabbat with you, an Erev Shabbat service in which we are going to be honoring and celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month, which has actually been in effect as a nationally recognized month of awareness since the year 1949. My name is Rabbi Julie Carroll. I'm honored to be officiating tonight's service alongside Senior Cantor Shayna Delow, our Senior Rabbi Ben Spratt, and we are so grateful to J. David Williams, John Hadfield, and Corey Schutzer, who are going to be infusing our worship with such beautiful music. We are reading from Parshat Bahar Bechukotai as a double portion this week. And we read at the very beginning of the Torah portion about laws concerning what's known as Shemitah. And Shemitah is the idea that the land is alive and the land needs to rest. And at the beginning of Leviticus 25, we read, "When you enter the land that I assign you, the land shall observe a Sabbath of Adonai. 6 years you may sow your field, 6 years you may prune your vineyard and gather in the field. But in the 7th year, the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest, a Sabbath of Adonai. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap the aftergrowth of your harvest or gather the grapes of your untrimmed vines. It shall be a year of complete rest for the land." So in a mere 4 verses of Torah, 4 times in 2 slightly different ways, the text is telling us the land needs to rest. And this is so important because ever since Genesis 4, the 4th chapter of the book of Genesis, we recognize that the land is going to be a character in the Torah, that the land is alive. And in Genesis 4, the land cries out with the blood of Abel that is spilled by his brother Cain. The purpose of Shemitah is for the Israelites to actually inculcate in themselves a recognition that the land provides for them, that the land goes to work for them, that it sustains them, that it raises up trees that gives them shade and shelter, that it produces food that sustains them, it feeds the animals that they offer for sacrifice, that that land is alive and that that land needs rest, and that that land deserves some gratitude for all of the work that it's doing. I think that that very same ethos applies to the ideas behind mental health awareness. We have a culture that is very much work hard and play hard, but it's not rest hard, and it is certainly not value your mental health hard. And for more than 50 years, mental health professionals and advocates around this country have taken notice of how important it is to work against stigma in mental health sustenance and support, to make sure that we're naming and raising awareness and funds to try and help provide treatments and all kinds of access to resources for people to be able to sustain all of those parts of themselves, like the land, that go to work for us. It's not all about our physical bodies and our physical strength. It's about our spirit. It's about our emotional well-being. It's about our relationships. Mental health awareness is about recognizing all of those invisible parts of ourselves that are constantly going to work. And it's about naming that and honoring that and making sure that we see the health of our psyche and our soul and spirit as just as essential as that physical health that maybe we go and we have that annual physical with our doctors for, having this month to check in and making sure that we're taking care of those parts of ourselves. In years past, we've lifted up a theme related to mental health, and we've expanded upon that. But this year we have a very special opportunity, and that's to name and offer gratitude to 2 people in this community who have made sure that mental health is a prime concern at the core of our community, have made sure that infuses how we care for one another, how our clergy show up, and how we as a community can walk forward making sure that we're looking past just what we see and always asking more questions about how we can really show up in the fullness of ourselves, and asking that everybody feel like they are welcome here in the fullness of themselves with whatever they're carrying. So Ruth Coburn and Sherry Steinberg, we are so honored to be celebrating you this evening. We will talk about you and brag about you a little more during the service, but we're so grateful that as we raise up more B'nai Mitzvah this weekend, new teachers in Am Yisrael, that they get to hear about your legacy and your leadership as they prepare to take on that mantle themselves. We are going to turn to the candle lighting blessing on page 2, and as we do that, we're going to invite up Charlie Friedman, Levi Rosenberg, and Maya Kornreich, actually to the front right there, to help us kindle those Shabbat lights as we welcome in the Sabbath. We can kindle, and if our B'nai Mitzvah get here, we will have them up later. Mazel tov. Our service is going to continue with Kabbalat Shabbat. We're going to sing Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 2, 5. And before that final verse, verse 9, we will rise and we will face the door, not yet before verse 9, to welcome the essence of Shabbat, the Sabbath bride. Page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, hishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha tiferet bala, גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
We invite you to remain standing as you are able as we turn to the call to worship on page 28. Page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
Our Song of Redemption, Micha Mocha, is on page 40.
Me
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Hashki Venu, page 42.
Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound, burning in a hopeless dream. Hold me when I go to sleep. Keep me in the warmth of your love when you depart. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound. Drowning in an endless sea. Take some time and stay with me. Keep me in the strength of your arms. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. Burning in hopeless dream. Hold me when I go to sleep. Keep me safe. We need light. We need love. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe. We need light. We need love. Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shamo.
we need light, and we need love. The Misha Beirach prayer exists at the core of this service to empower each of us to give light and to give love to anyone we know who is walking a journey of challenge. And one of the great accomplishments, perhaps, of Mental Health Awareness Month has been that it has enabled Americans writ large and American culture to recognize and far expand who it is we think of when we think of a prayer for healing, who it is we think of when we recognize hardship, when we recognize people who are facing all kinds of challenges, and giving us permission as a community to recognize that in ourselves and to be able to use prayer as a way to show up in support of those who are feeling alone, who are feeling isolated, and or who are feeling all the myriad colors of what it means to be alive and to face challenge and to face the uncertainty of all that lies in front of us. So as we pray Misha Beirach on this particular Shabbat, as we honor and acknowledge mental health awareness, we really want to invite you to expand as far as you can the embrace of anybody that could benefit from knowing that a community is praying for them, from knowing that you're sending them your light and your love. And that as you think of healing, that you're holding that as well with expansiveness, that healing can be anybody's journey from any point of challenge to any point of strength. And that we are not here to judge what that journey looks like or what that destination means, but to walk in fellowship alongside people who really need us to show up for them and who are hoping to have God's presence and blessing alongside them as they navigate trouble, as they navigate heartbreak, as they navigate illness. And so tonight, as we as a community share our list, I'm also going to invite you to share the names of anybody that you're thinking of, but also to make room in your hearts throughout our recitation of the prayer to include yourselves, to include any loved ones that come to mind who could benefit from our collective love and light and prayers for healing and a journey towards strength. We think of Sandy Sarabin, Tracy Lustig, Cassie Lustig, Michael Umans, Eli Morrison, Paulette Cohan, Patricia Horn, Stephen Schwinder, Perry Soskin, Roy Soskin, Jane Wisen, Richard Carver, Shira Aliza, Robert Appel, Zvi Leschetz, Mark Miller, Ellen Kirshner, Bobby Waldman, Mark Margulies, Paul Biddleman, Joseph Abada, Sydney Spano, Tom Lee, Ricky Dessin, Benita Ganot, Jimmy Berghoff, Harriet Feldman, Eric Alper, Peter Boritz, Pauline Rothstein, Eric Gruthuis, Brian Altman, and Lori Weinberg. Are there additional names you'd like to share this evening? Yes. Naomi? Thank you. We turn to the middle of page 253 and pray for healing.
Who bless the one
This time we invite the community to please rise as you're able for Tefillah, page 46.
Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol atah, Rav le'oshia, morid hatal, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim ve'rofeh Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh shimcha kadosh, ukadoshim b'chol yom yalalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
The words of the poet Rupi Kaur. When the world comes crashing at your feet, it's okay sometimes to let others help pick up the pieces. If we're present to take part in your happiness, when your circumstances are great, we are more than capable of sharing your pain. For me, part of what I love in entering this space is to know that for all of the moments where I have felt alone in the world, I may enter a space where I can know I am beside fellow journeyers in this world. Much of our lives are hidden beneath the surface. So much of what we bring is obfuscated from the minds and the eyes of so many. And yet some of what comes when we enter a space like this and we raise our voice and hear another voice joining in is we're reminded that perhaps we are not alone. In this week's Torah portion, we get a phrase that repeats itself dozens of times in the Hebrew Bible. The idea of being resident strangers, gerim toshavim. And it's a reminder throughout the text often that in our midst there are those who may not feel that they belong necessarily. And yet we are reminded that they are supposed to be included in our gatherings, included in our sense of responsibility and our collective identity. But for the first and only time when this phrase comes about in this week's Torah portion, we get the additional word imadi, standing with me. The phrase being, God is enjoining the people to say that you should pay attention to the resident strangers, for those are the people who are standing with me. That one of the traditions in Judaism is that God is a resident stranger, that God wanders this world alone, and is made famous by Abraham Joshua Heschel, the beginning of Genesis, God crying out, "Where are you, Ayeka? Where are you?" For everyone in this space, at some point in our lives, we feel that pain, crying out, wishing to not be alone, feeling a sense of struggle in the hidden spaces of our lives. And what if the first place to begin was to know that in that moment, we are finally in a place of being with God? But even more, what would be if we could enter this space knowing that the most repeated commandment in our tradition is to remind ourselves that we were once strangers, to remind ourselves that we perhaps still are strangers, that it is in holding the notion of being resident strangers that we create the capacity, the emotional empathy, to take into our arms a willingness to say that when the world comes apart, we have the chance to stand beside each other. For all the stigma, for all the ways that we cover it up, what would it be if this was the place where we could authentically bring our whole selves and know that we would be held, especially in the moments we felt most alone, knowing that God is imadi, standing with us as we are, as one. We continue with Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki ata melech adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We continue now in silent prayer.
Adonai li v'lo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati. Adonai li v'lo ira.
My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. My soul I give
Of
to you.
kidrochi,
My
ve'et isha ve'ahira, ve'im ruchi
I shall not
geviati.
fear.
Adonai li v'lo ira, ve'im ruchi
I shall not
geviati.
fear.
Adonai li v'lo ira.
So as our B'nai Mitzvah know, in addition to a fabulous double Torah portion that they are blessed with, we also come to the final chapters of the book of Leviticus, arguably the most popular book in the Torah. And as we come to the end of any book in the Torah, the custom actually is when we chant the final words, that we as a community call out three words: Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. Be strong, and we will be strengthened together. And in the midst of our services tonight, I can't help but think that this is an appropriate way of getting to invite up our two honorees tonight. Because when I think about what allows this community to remain strong, it is really from the hearts and the spirits, the blood, the sweat, the tears of so many who pour themselves into weaving this community and this congregation together. And certainly at a time when, for many of us, we see a world that is pulled asunder, where so many struggle, it becomes particularly poignant and necessary that we get to celebrate the leadership of our very own Ruth Coburn and Sherry, where are you? Sherry Steinberg, please, Sherry. So Sherry and Ruth want to invite the two of you to please join us up here. And if you're okay with it, we are going to just do a slight little bit of embarrassing you in front of everyone here.
Rabbi's privilege.
And so thanks to strength and strength, we have been strengthened. And so I have the honor of getting to speak to my beloved teacher, Ruth. So what many of us don't know is for 22 years, Ruth Coburn has been on the front lines of helping to vitalize and support hundreds upon hundreds of members of our community. As our Voda Shalom social worker, We've had the chance not only to have so many lives touched by your care and your wisdom, but generations of clergy who have learned what it is to care for others by your tutelage. Again, something that I've never had the chance to say publicly before, but as an intern, Ruth gave me a huge amount of her time, helping me learn what it is to make the phone calls that I didn't know how to make, helping me know the questions that I need to ask, and to know when I would reach the limits of the kind of care that I could provide. And in the process, thanks to the whispers of so many in our community, I had the chance to hear story after story of those that sat with you in the most difficult, painful moments of their life. And you were the lifeline that helped them find a way out of no way, Ruth. From navigating the impossibilities of the healthcare system in this city, to finding the challenges of housing in the city, helping to find the city supports, helping to find a sense that they're not alone in the world. People who didn't have a meal would find it thanks to you. People who never had a visitor would receive it from you. And Ruth even kept care for people who weren't even officially a part of the Rhoda Shalom community, but simply entered into our orbit, and probably have no idea the hundreds of hours that were given to such people. And Ruth, there is a rare soul that feels called to step into the breaches of this world. And on behalf of a congregation that has been indelibly changed by your love, your leadership, your devotion, we are so grateful. It's not simply for the time, but it's for modeling the very way that we all should orient ourselves. To feel called with responsibility into the people and the places that need us most. And along the way, to make us love ourselves and love one another a little bit more. And so what we get to celebrate tonight is a congregation that will be continuing your wisdom, continuing your work, and we won't be letting you go because we're going to keep finding ways to bring you back in again and again and again. And so on behalf of our entire community, Ruth, and we'll have a gift for you in just a moment here, thank you for teaching us the way of standing with people in the most difficult of moments and holding them up to find better days.
Thank you all. I promise there'll be another opportunity for applause very soon. I have the privilege of speaking to you, dear Sherry, one of my greatest teachers in my young rabbinate. One of the misunderstandings I came into the rabbinate with was that there are lists, and that when you check things off those lists, they are complete. Because what Sherry Steinberg has taught me in my short tenure is that people can't be checked off lists. People need constant love and nurturing. And I could speak for many minutes about the expansive work of the caring community, which you took over in 2015, and all of the ways that they go to those dark, unsung corners of our community and bring love and light and companionship and hope. But what I want to talk about is what happened during COVID. Because we were not a community, I don't think we were a world, that was prepared to figure out how to offer connection and care through the internet in a sustained way for years. And it wasn't our clergy team that came up with the answer to that. It was you. We all knew when COVID hit that we were gonna get on the phone and we were gonna call every single congregant and check in with them. But Rabbi Spratt, I don't think we had a next step. But we have a big congregation, so that took a minute. And in the time that we attempted to call every single person in our congregation, you said we have to have a regular meeting time where anybody in the community who wants can get on with their coffee, in their PJs, dressed for work, with their PJs on the bottom and their blouse on top, whatever the case may be, and they can find community, and they can find concern. And they can sit, or they can share, they can laugh, or they can vent. And every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, for years, there you were with your cup of coffee, your bookshelf behind you, your smile, and your warmth, just waiting for people to find connection, for people to know that in all of the profound isolation and unprecedented terror that the pandemic brought to this world, that they could find somebody who somehow through a screen held their hand. You invented that for this community, and it still exists. It went on for so long that not only did it become just a regular program, even when people were back in person but still liked that Zoom vibe, but then it morphed into this incredible minion, the opportunity community, which has been such a gift to us because anytime somebody new comes to our community, you are the first place we send them. We know that they will find warmth and welcome, and that they'll find access to somebody who knows their way around this place because you've been here since 1992, which is no small amount of time with Alan and your wonderful family. You've taught this clergy team how to pastor in a COVID world, and I had no idea how we were going to figure out how to do that. And every time I take a Zoom call on somebody through the web and I sit there, I make sure that after that call, I make a follow-up appointment to check in on them. Because you taught me that I can't check that off my list. That to be part of a community is constant care, is constant presence, and that making ourselves truly available is enacting this beautiful idea of tzimtzum, of contracting, of making space, of allowing yourself to be part of a community, but allowing so many people to be there with you. And not thinking that any one person matters any more than the other, but seeing the Torah, the wisdom, and the value of every single person who sits with you, whether they are in pain and having the worst day of their life, or whether they're coming with tremendous joy. You bear witness. You are and you bring blessing. And we are so grateful to you because this clergy team in this community is softer and kinder and more present and more concerned because you have taught us how to build those muscles day in and day out, and that it is never done. And you've taught us how to nurture ourselves in the process. So thank you for being our teacher, for bringing your softness and your wisdom into this community. I want to acknowledge that as Sherry prepares to depart from her leadership of Caring Community, that she will still, alongside Dr. Raina Marin, be leading our mental health subcommittee, thank God, because we can't live without you. But we really are so grateful for your leadership and for all of the layers of love and light that you have brought to this community. Thank you, Sherry.
But wait, we have gifts.
Oh, wow. We have but we're going to have you put you on the chairs because we're going to invite you up and return to us.
Okay. So for those of you curious, you'll have to ask them afterwards what's in it. But speaking of being beacons of light and helping people make transitions in this world, we hope towards brighter weeks and days. We hope that these will be tools that will remind you not only of Voda Shalom, but our gratitude to you for being beacons of light. So it's an honor to invite the two of you to help open the Ark. As we invite the community, please rise for Aleinu on the bottom of page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kicho hamonam, v'anachnu
we turn now to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294, we bring into our service space here the names of those that we have loved and lost along the way. In raising name, we raise memory and legacy. And if you hear the name of a loved one you're remembering, or if you offer the name of a loved one you're remembering, we invite you to rise as you're able and remain standing. For those who wish, we also have the custom of Rosh Shalom to come to the front to place stone onto slate as a tangible reenactment of love and connection. We begin with the recent losses in our community of Michael Berkelhammer, Karen Salomon, Cyril Siegel, Joan Lee Eglow, Jean Jay, Jacqueline Rennick, Ellen Baxt, Laura Zakin, Sarah Delson, Louise Weisbord, Candy Wasser, and Rosalie Wright. If there are others in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, we invite you to rise and offer the names. Please. Those in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. Peter. Thank you. Those within Shana, within the first year of mourning. Thank you. We remember the Yortzites, the anniversaries of death, of Helen Appel, Harold Apt, Isaac Baer, Daniel Beaton, Ruth Bitterman, Cantor Ephraim Biran, Adela Blumauer, Edna Brenner, Lillian Cantor, Oro Kazes, Gertrude Cohen, Connie Constantine, Georgine Cooper, Joseph Korn, David Durkach, Evelyn Dintz, John Distel, Oscar Distel, Alan Edelstein, Matthew Fennell, Douglas Fisher, Tina Fredericks, Elisa Friedman, Noel Freeman, Bertha Liebman, Friedman, Betty Gurman, David Goldman, Horace Goldsmith, Barton Green, Shirley Greenstone, Cecilia Gusendorfer, Daniel Harrison, Nathan Himes, Leonard Heller, Hannah Hess, Emma Hessel, Harold Hyman, Ann Jacobson, Harold Jaffe, Harold Kallenberg, Abe Kaplan, Lester Kempner, Jean Klein, Samuel Lamb, Arlene Levy, Bessie Linder, Netzi Lonshine, Ruth Mansbach, Flora Meyer, Robert Okada, Anna Ostfeld, Minnie Petrikoff, Bill Paulson, Sol Peck, Eugene Pleva, Dr. Neil Proshan, Bessie Ritter, Charles Roden, Abraham Rosenberg, Ruth Rosenberg, Jay Rozovsky, Sidney Roth, Bernard Rothman, Dr. Martin Schachter, Pauline Schiller, Madeline Siegel, Hannah Silver, Yvonne Silverman, Selig Sisselman, Irving Slane, Fanny Stern, Erwin Stern, Joan Thau, Forrest Weisburst, Paul Weiss, Fred Winter, and Claire Zaretsky. If there are others you're remembering, we invite you to rise and offer the names. Josie? Zichronam Dibracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. As our custom at Rosh Shalom, we invite you to rise as we're able as one community. For the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, together on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'cho beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mavarach leolam ulalmei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal shmeid kudesha brichu le'ela minko birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechamata damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh
the source of peace and peace to all who mourn here and comfort to all who are bereaved everywhere, as we say together, Amen. So I love our tradition of standing. Oh, don't sit down quite yet. Sorry, I know. Those are very comfy pews. We want to get back into them. One of the things I love about this custom is I never knew the custom of having an entire community stand during Mourner's Kaddish until I came to Rosh Shalom. And I love the mindset of what it is that in a time of memory, when we may be feeling myriad emotions, to know that we are not the only ones standing in that room, to know that we are surrounded with others standing by our side. And it is a wonderful reminder of what it is to build community. So with everyone still standing, going to invite everyone to move your body far enough and twist, I guess far enough, to find a face of someone you do not yet know, and to wish them a Shabbat Shalom, maybe introduce yourself, and start a new spark of connection. Yes. So with some new sparks of connection now formed, now you may enjoy the very comfy cushioning of the pew seats if you'd like. And a few brief announcements before we get a joyous celebration here. So next week's Erev Shabbat service is the Volunteer Appreciation Shabbat with a Meyer W. Nathan Service Award presentation. We are going to be honoring the amazing Annette Orenstein, chair of our Social Action Committee, for all of her outstanding work helping refugees and asylum seekers here in our city. And we are going to be expanding our celebration to celebrate everyone who volunteers and leads in the many different spaces and corners of this congregation. We've tried to send out invites and e-blasts in every way we possibly can. If you've not received those, because I'm sure you read every email you get from Rosh Shalom, then that is our misstep, but please know that you are invited. We would love to have everyone who gives of themselves for this community to come together in strength again and again, so we can celebrate and honor you. Also, we want to make sure that that our 181st annual meeting of Congregation Rosh Shalom is Tuesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. We do need a quorum, so please join us. If you can't come in person, you can actually appoint a proxy here. So the agenda includes the election of new trustees, the CRS bylaws, the approval of the budget, and we are going to be appointing a new president of our congregation, Stacy Cantor, as we offer gratitude to Peter Ehrenberg for his incredible service, joining the ranks of so many past presidents that have given so much of themselves for the strength of this community. And to mark in your calendars now, okay, this is going to be an exciting event, so please keep this in your calendars. On Thursday, June 8th at 7 p.m., Cantor Stefano Iacchino will be presenting a special concert on gay life and love through music from the golden age of cantorial arts to Broadway, folk, and rock music. Cantor Iacchino is going to be joined by Cantor DeLoe and J. David Williams and some other wonderful,
Corey.
and John and Corey, and gets to see some familiar faces again here. It's going to be a wonderful celebration of beautiful voices, inspiring stories, and just a few rainbows. And want to make sure that you know that after tonight's service, everyone is welcome to join us in the lobby right after service for a kiddush, which is being sponsored by Anna Demmel and Gary Stein in honor of Sophia and Jeffrey's Ofruf, which is the perfect segue to invite up Sophia and Jeff. That's right, applause. So I want to offer gratitude for letting us do this. I'm not sure if it felt like a choice for you. It didn't feel like one for us. So thank you for knowing that this was important for all of us to have the chance to celebrate the two of you, and wanted to make sure that we could take just a moment in the context of this whole community for you to feel like this is one of the places of belonging that celebrates the two of you and the road ahead that you share together. So to journey back to November of 2020, when there was perhaps just a bit of trepidation and anxiety in pretty much every corner of this country, as the two of you were looking at what would come during election season. And Sophia, as you were sharing with me, you were kind of deciding about whether you were going to go to Dublin, as I recall, or you were going to stay in Washington, D.C., and that was hanging in the air. And to think about for the two of you, in so many ways, the way in which fragility, the way in which fracture in this country would foretell and portend so much of the struggle that would unfold as that year and the years continued, but the way in which your relationship that started and sparked in the normal backdrop of shared passion of dive bars and Kurt Vonnegut also lifted up some of Vonnegut's wisdom, that everything was beautiful, and finally nothing hurt. And what it was in each other, to get to see that you could walk through a world that sometimes falls into shadow, and be able to have the courage and communication to step into it and speak together and find a shared space of belonging, of love and connection. The nature of two incredibly driven people that are reaching the heights of their respective careers means the number of demands on you every moment of every day surely pulls and strains. But by birthing this incredible relationship in the midst of a world of fracture, you've chosen to respond to it in the very way we all should, to find a way to courageously step forward and create the sacred path of connection. As you move forward into this marriage, as you move forward, we hope to a pathway of blessing. I hope that there are many, many more dive bars in your future. I hope that you can find wonderful ways to see the wisdom of Kurt Vonnegut is really appropriate for every space. Apparently, even I never thought I'd quote Slaughterhouse here in the midst of Norfolk, but there you go. I mean, everything is beautiful. And an opportunity for the two of you to get to see with pride that what you forged out of courage is also the very beacon that invites us to respond to the world in the exact same way. May this be a pathway of love, of blessing, and abundant joy. And let's do a little singing now. So, and we want to invite up your families to join us up here. So, please, want to invite you to all come up here, and want to invite our fabulous B'nai Mitzvah to join us up here. So, Charlie, Levi, I think I said yes, Levi and Maya, want to invite you and your families to please join us up here. And want to invite up Dr. Raina Marin to join us. We want to celebrate in Mental Health Awareness Shabbat. We want to celebrate, Raina, with gratitude, your continued leadership alongside Sherry to raise awareness and supports in our community. And, definitely Ellen, is Ellen here? Excellent, fantastic, thank you. And I think Larry was here, right? Yes, okay, wonderful. Want to make sure we got everyone here? Do we miss anyone?
No, B'nai Mitzvah.
Okay, B'nai Mitzvah. We want to invite the community to please rise as you're able for Kiddush. You get to have some calisthenics here in services.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'ri ha'gafim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'yava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom
Oh, what a beautiful challah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Oh, say shalom imroma. Huya say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Oh, say shalom imroma. Huya say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Oh, say shalom imromav. Huya say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom.